Just admit you staged it in Butler. It was the heat of the campaign. People do crazy things in campaigns.
I just don't understand why you wouldn't conduct a full investigation on who tried to you if you're the president of the United States.
They arrest Merchant, and then 2 days later, a sniper shot at Butler. I wanted to look for potential linkage between those events, was completely shut off and blocked from that.
Why would they cut you off? That seems like definitely possible.
I mean, Marjorie Taylor Greene is saying what we all thought all along. She just finally took her head out of Trump's hands to realize that they were being played now.
Butler, Pennsylvania was staged and a cover-up is ongoing.
I can't help but laugh at the great awakening that is happening in front of our eyes among the MAGA movement. Because right now, these same people that made bloated orange Todd believe that he was Christ, made him believe that he was God chosen and he was anointed. Right now, they are telling him to come out and admit that he staged his own, a bunch of conspiracy theorists. These are the same people, by the way. A lot of them believe in so much conspiracy. And it has not taken them that long to be lied to that much, to start figuring out that everything was staged to take advantage of them. They are not getting anything out. MAGA fanatics and just the normal MAGAs as well. They are now just finding out that the investigation was closed without even telling anybody. They are also wondering how comes he does not talk about it at all, yet this was a heroic moment. One of the biggest reasons as to why a lot of them believed he had a divine call to save America. Okay? And that's why they were targeting his life. But right now, they're like, everything is not adding up. There's quite a number of questions that and concerns that these people raise in their reaction to this. And they're telling him, come out and explain and please admit, we can forgive you. We are going to have to look at this. Of course, we will come back to talk about it. Again, this is for entertainment purposes only. This is not me trying to prove anything. It's just to bring reactions of the MAGA world. Anyway, let's watch. We'll come back to talk about it. Like and share. And please let me know what you think about these developments.
A new conspiracy theory has taken hold among some of Donald Trump's own supporters who claim, without evidence, that the assassination attempt on his life in Butler, Pennsylvania was staged and a cover-up is ongoing. In the aftermath of the attempted assassination during an open-air campaign rally in July 2024, many Trump supporters saw his survival as a sign from God, while some on the left claimed it was all staged. Fast forward to 2026, and now MAGA itself is pushing the claims about a staged shooting. Conspiracy theories within MAGA world really started to pick up when former US National Counterterrorism Center Director Joe Kent appeared on Tucker Carlson's podcast in March, the day after Kent resigned his position in protest over the war with Iran. During a discussion over the Trump administration's failure to provide more details about the shooter, who was Secret Service agents, Kent claimed without evidence that investigations into the shooting had been shut down. The conspiracy theory spread among MAGA from there. Tricia Hope, a GOP national delegate from Texas and a former Trump supporter, posted on X last week to say that people needed to snap out of it and start applying critical thinking skills. Contrarian comedian Tim Dillon said on his show that he thought maybe what happened in Butler was staged. Carlson and fellow far-right podcaster Candace Owens have continued to promote claims of a cover-up in the last week. And over the weekend, former Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene joined the party, posting 3 times on X about the nation attempt, writing that there are a lot of questions that deserve public answers and asking why the cover-up. When prominent QAnon promoter MJ Truth asked their 100,000 followers on Telegram how they were feeling about the narrative around the assassination attempt, the overwhelming response was that the incident had been staged and that the truth would never come out. There's even cross-pollination taking place between the Butler conspiracy theory and another hot topic among some of Trump's formerly staunch supporters, that he might be the Antichrist. Ali Alexander, the far-right activist who organised the Stop the Steal campaign after the 2020 election, said that the assassination attempt might not be a miracle, but a dark sign.
I just don't.
With people that are overseas, there's a big rush to say, like, well, we shot the sniper, we don't know anything about him, but case closed.
I'm just saying, if Trump said I staged my own assassination attempt, I would not be angry. I would laugh. It would bring back some levity into this goddamn world. It would be fun and silly. And if he sat down with Barry Weiss on CBS or whoever, Tony Dokapol or whatever, and explained how he did this, we would be riveted and we would be back to fun. Back to fun. So everyone got mad at me for that. And they're going to also get mad at me for the suggestion that Trump and Israel might nuke the midterms. But I'm just saying, I'm asking anyone out there, and these midterms, one never knows what could happen. We might be in another war. We might be in a wider war. And it's going to be, it's going to get ugly out there. It's so bad. Sam Altman, this is how bad it is. Sam Altman is attacking himself. Just admit you staged it in Butler. It was the heat of the campaign. People do crazy things in campaigns.
Went on the Tucker Carlson show.
We still don't know what happened in Butler. We don't know what happened with Charlie Kirk. And by no means am I saying, the Israelis did this or any of that, but I'm saying there's a lot of unanswered questions there.
Including Marjorie Taylor Greene, who over the weekend posted, "I'm not calling the Butler nation a hoax, but there are a lot of questions that deserve public answers." And Tucker Carlson, who's been expressing skepticism about Butler for months.
The far more significant story involves the government, the DOJ, and the FBI, which have hidden from the public what they know about Thomas Crooks.
There's no intelligence in the U.S. government that Joe Kent couldn't see. He was one of the most informed people in the world, and his conclusion was there's something weird going on here. And one of the clues is the Butler shooting, where President Trump was shot in the ear. And according to Joe Kent, who would know, that investigation was closed before it pursued every possible lead. You can't say he doesn't know what he's talking about. And you can't say the Trump administration didn't trust him with all available U.S. intelligence until the day he left. You can't say that because they did. He has said out loud he thinks the failure to investigate the Butler shooting, that is connected to the control that Israel has over the United States government.
According to Wired magazine, many people on the right, including Trump supporters, now believe that this was staged. I want to remain respectful to the president while I discuss this, so in solidarity, I attached a maxi pad to my ear. The article cites a lot of MAGA podcasters and influencers and pundits who have seemingly started questioning the events. Apparently, the president has lost Tim Dillon.
But I think maybe it was staged.
Tucker Carlson has also tweeted that the FBI covered it up. He also has recently said that he thought that Israel was involved, and that is a sentiment also echoed by Candace Owens. Emerald Robinson, who was a broadcaster for OAN and Newsmax, she includes the Butler rally in a list of conspiracies that she blames on the FBI. A woman named Trisha Hope, who is a GOP national delegate from Texas, recently tweeted out like a whole dissertation, which I'm not going to bore you with, but she ended it by saying, if you cannot look at this story and use critical thinking skills and have at least some questions, you are part of the problem and we need you to snap out of it. These people are going to be so mad when they learn about the Epstein files. But anyway, according to the article, this MAGA skepticism about the events in Butler, Pennsylvania, really sort of picked up steam after the Joe Kent interview with Tucker Carlson. For those of you who don't know who Joe Kent is, he resigned his position as director of the U.S. National Counterterrorism Center, and he did this very publicly. He penned an open letter to Donald Trump in opposition to the Iran war. yada yada. Okay, during the interview, Tucker Carlson and Joe Kent discussed the failure of the Trump administration to provide more details about the Pennsylvania shooter. Kent claimed, without providing any evidence, that investigations into the shooting had been shut down before they were finished. Okay, all of that being said, even if all of these MAGA influencers are starting to question the narrative, there is another part of the article that I think is very, very important. There's a QAnon influencer on Telegram with 100,000 followers, and he asked his audience, how does everyone feel about the narrative surrounding the Butler assassination attempt on Trump? The overwhelming majority of the hundreds of replies, almost all of whom remain Trump supporters, said that they believed the incident had been staged and that the truth may never come out, which means these people believe Donald Trump staged an assassination attempt which got 2 innocent people, I guess, to garner sympathy, right, and increase his chances of being reelected. And that's not a deal breaker for them. They went from saying God spared him on that day because he's the chosen one, to now saying, yeah, he probably killed 2 innocent people for a photo op. So what? Because that's how cults work. It doesn't matter what President Miracle Ear says or does. They just know that President Miracle Ear is always right.
MAGA influencers are going bananas. They think now that the attempt on Donald Trump's life in Butler, Pennsylvania was staged. I always kind of thought it was staged, and I know that makes me sound a little crazy, but it's just something was fishy as hell about it. The fact that he never talks about this ever is interesting to me, but I believe that extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence. And Marjorie Taylor Greene is calling for such evidence. I'm not calling the Butt Nation a hoax, but there are a lot of questions that deserve public answers. I'm asking, why won't Trump release the information about Matthew Crooks? Did he actually act alone? If not, who is behind him and who helped him? Why the cover up? And why doesn't he ever talk about it? Why doesn't he say the Democrats tried to me, blah, blah? If anything, it's always this weird Christian signaling that God spared Trump so that he could deliver this nation, this great Christian nation to God.
It's funny to me that now Marjorie Taylor Greene is on board with us and everything we've been saying. It's so annoying. Marjorie Taylor Greene retweeted a tweet from this woman right here who wrote a literal op-ed about what happened in Butler. Now, this is a woman who was a longtime fan, supporter of DT. And she started to realize that what happened that day was completely staged and intentional as the puzzle pieces started to fit together for her. She said the day that he came to speak, the first day he was seen in public, after that he had the bandage on his ear. He said, I will tell you exactly what happened and I will never talk about it again. She said that was the first red flag because the people are going to want to hear about it. You can't just not talk about it, right? There was never an investigation into this. They never investigated why they allowed that man to remain on the roof with a rifle when they knew he was there with a rifle for, I don't know, an hour at least. They never explained that. The Secret Service team that was there should have all been fired, but instead they fired the head of the Secret Service that was there under Biden. And then they replaced her with none other than one of the men in that huddle in this iconic picture, Mr. Curran. Mr. Curran should have lost his job that day, along with the rest of them, but they didn't. There's never been an investigation. They've never talked about it. They've never pressed the issue. The lowering of the flag, the ushering of media to the front of the stage. I mean, it's all completely and totally, utterly. We've been saying that since day one. The problem is an American man died that day. During their little stunt, their little campaign stunt, an American man, a firefighter, died that day. And I don't know where the comparatory family sits on this issue. And I would believe, I would hate to think conspiratorially with my husband being killed, but the puzzle pieces line up. And one day we are going to find out the truth. And this government, this country is going to have to pay out millions of dollars to that man's family for an unnecessary loss of life just so that DT could get reelected. Maggots fell for it, hook, line, and sinker.
Listen, I know we're not really talking about this anymore, but am I the only one that thinks we moved on from this assassination attempt story a bit fast? Why do we know nothing about it? How come we're not talking about the fact that it doesn't actually appear as if Donald Trump was injured at all? How did a number of people get hurt and 2 men are dead, but we're not getting any information about what happened? I know the guy that Reagan did it so Jodie Foster might pay attention to him. That was his motivation. Why would I know that random piece of information about something that happened in the 80s, but know nothing about what happened in July? Assassination attempts are usually a really big deal. I feel like if we really had an assassination attempt on a former president and current presidential candidate, that would be something that people, especially the media, would be looking into. At the very least, you'd think Republicans would care. It's their candidate. And there's just so many questions that have been left unanswered, like how could the shooter have gotten into that position he was in? Why did the Secret Service and police ignore all the bystanders being like, yo, there's a guy with a gun roof? Why wasn't Trump whisked off the stage when the threat was noticed by the sniper or after the shots were fired? Why did those Secret Service officers allow him to get his head and his torso above them in order to get that photo? Why did Trump wear a bandage on his ear at the convention but not the day before? And how is it that his ear seems perfectly fine when people like his own son said it was half blown off? There's just so much here we don't know, and yet it almost seems like it didn't happen, except Trump got some sort of hero moment out of it. I just feel like if the right's going to be talking this much about stolen valor, we have some real unanswered questions here. Because 2 people are actually dead. And moving on like this just feels odd. No?
There seems to be some growing speculation online that the assassination attempt against Donald Trump was staged. I am not going to talk about whether or not it was staged, but from a scriptural perspective, I want to address something with you because it is true that there are a lot of Donald Trump followers who are locked into him, still elevating him and still believing him because of that event, because they believe that God protected him. I want to let you know that whether or not somebody is protected by an assassination is not a good way to assess whether or not they are being used by God, because we know from history that there can be leaders who are elevated and protected, risen up into power that are not anointed and appointed by God. They are anointed by darkness for a dark agenda. But we also know scripturally. So in Daniel 8, it says that there will be deceivers who come along who are strong and empowered, but not by their own power. And it even says that they will be masters of deception and they will become arrogant. So they are being helped along in their rise to power by darkness. It also says in Revelation 19 that there is a dark spirit who works signs, and there is even a supernatural healing addressed in Revelation. So this is not a good basis for continuing to support this president. What would be a better basis would be the actual test of spirits that we are told to conduct in Scripture. So a test of spirits would be testing the spiritual atmosphere around a person. Is there arrogance? Is there boastfulness? Is there greed? Is there lust for power? Is there anger? Is there rage? Is there threats of murder? Is there a need to be worshiped, a need to be praised? That will tell you everything you need to know to back away from any counterfeit spirit who is hiding behind God, but who is not anointed, empowered, or protected by God.
I took a mental break, but how is everybody doing on here? Hopefully the Most High is keeping you, protecting you, and preserving you and yours so very well. I appreciate you and your support to me on here. And join me at the same time to give a special shout out and appreciation to the members and sponsors of this channel, to all of you that support through the super thank button, to all of you that subscribe, engage, like, comment, and share the content. You guys are highly, highly appreciated. We are catching up on the great awakening that is happening in the MAGA movement, because again, promises made, promises not kept. Yeah, that's the root of everything. Promises made, promises not kept. And now is that time where the blindfold is falling off their eyes. And now all of a sudden, they are starting to reason and think for themselves. I mean, it's hilarious, because it does not matter how many times the world has screamed, damns, the rest of the world screamed at these people and told them, question things. You are the party of common sense. Use some logic, use some common sense. And the entire time, it was defend him, touch not my anointed one. And from touch not my anointed one, the so-called anointed touched the anointed. He mocked God. He does not bear any fruit of the Spirit. He does the opposite of what he says. He took them to war, asking for more money. He keeps lying, and his advisors are already talking about he jeopardizes everything, ruins everything, is the reason as to why gas prices are high. People are resigning in his cabinet. There are those that he is firing. He mishandled the whole entire EPP files. It's a bunch of a lot of things that they've been bottling up, and the cult is wearing out. Now, the party of conspiracy theories are now coming up with what so many other people are calling conspiracy theories, and they are believing them strongly. And they have major MAGA influencers that literally blow the fire. And these people have people that believe in them. And the moment one of their influencers start, siding things out, they're like, come to think about it, you're right. Like, this whole entire thing looks staged. Me, even the reason as to why I'm laughing a lot, it's not just because it is hilarious, but it's because I'm literally reliving or revisiting my teenage years of watching American movies. This seems like a scene pulled out of a movie where you had a rich, wealthy politician that needed to, did all they could just to end up in power. But then there was that was left. There's a lot of things that were staged. There's a lot of smearing campaigns that happened. There's a lot of blackmail and all of that. It's just, for me, it's like a combination of all of those things. And it is playing out. I mean, how would I ever known that I would ever live to see the scenes I used to watch in movies unfolding, where literally the masses are now literally calling out their politician, the one they loved so much. Now they are losing trust. And you see that disappointment. I never thought that I would see it. It's a movie for me. And yet, this movie, this time around, is like a reality TV show. And the best that made him believe he was targeted are here to pass and resurrect like Christ. Some of his spiritual advisors were talking about saying no to blooded orange toad is like, okay, she said Trump, okay? You all know we have a name for him over here. And it's something that I can't get rid. And I think you guys are loving it. I have a few stuff coming out, you guys. Maybe you might like just to take light of the situation and all of that. Because, I mean, it's just a lot going on anyway. All right. But one of the spiritual advisors said that saying no to him is like saying no to God. But the man is the opposite of everything. They're driven by hate to a point that they can't think. They're filled with hate. Their hearts just are hateful. And I think it just breaks my heart that a lot of them call themselves Christians. I think we can call them nationalists. That's okay. This government of the blooded orange toad is filled with white supremacist, key, double, triple Ks, and these. But now all of a sudden, I'm like, what caused the change of heart? You're the same people that were telling other people that were questioning blooded orange toad, and you say, yes, Trump derangement syndrome. Are you guys sharing that? Is what you saw coming back at you, attacking you and eating you up? Now you are developing Trump derangement syndrome too? I don't know, because reality is that doesn't exist either. It was made up. It wasn't made up. For me, it's so good to see, because now you get to see how the rest of the world has been viewed and how the rest of the world has been demonized by just questioning the actions of the president. You can agree with someone but still question them. It is okay. It is okay. And I know that the cult made them feel like whosoever kind of disagrees with him, questions stuff, asks for accountability, then all of a sudden they are betraying him. Again, taking him back to who? Christ. Scripture says Christ will be betrayed by his own people. A bunch of conspiracies. Comparing a man that has not earned. He's not earned it. He's not earned the credit. In fact, if you have to look back into his history, there's quite a lot of stains. Oh, yes, we know. He's a businessman and no man is perfect. And nobody requires that. That's not the standard. We are humans. Some of the accusations that are put out there are such great, huge things for you guys to, for them to overlook. Okay? It's just quite a lot of things. Okay, yes, because a lot of them will be like, yeah, it's because he's hated, even if he does something good, even if he, no matter what he does, he's hated. That should be a reason. Okay. Anyway, there are people that are hated without a reason. Yes, we agree, there are people that are hated without a reason. But my God, so you mean people are paying everyone to smear him? And the fact that MAGAs are now upset, they're like, this man used this very thing when he was campaigning and he gained sympathy and trust from us. But he closed the investigation without telling us. We do not know, we didn't even know. He closed it until when some of the people started digging deeper and they're like, he actually closed it. I mean, couldn't you have looked further and be like, well, who was this person that was unalive? Who were they collaborating with and all of that? And then the 2 more lives that went down. But isn't that so typical of blooded orange toad? Especially when things kind of seem like so unclear. He pardons people. And I'm not talking about innocent people, no. I'm talking about criminals. Why did it take you so long for you guys to ask these questions and start connecting dots when you see that he pardons criminals and he puts them in his administration? Why does it have to take so long when you see you have Secretary of Defense literally bragging about unaliving people in his administration, bragging about unaliving is like a pride. It's about that time that, the blinds are off. I'm not even going to blame them or anything. Like, that's not what I'm here to do, because again, it's not still confirmed yet that he staged it, but looking at bloated orange toad, that may not be so far-fetched. Unfortunately, the man lies every time he opens his mouth. He says, we want this war. They are begging. They need a ceasefire. We have the Strait of Hormuz. We control. We have their uranium. They have given it to us. We are winning. In this administration, you're going to get tired of winning. I'm like, people are going in their pockets, and when they touch, it's nothing. They just want to get something to eat. Back then, 200 would be at least some good money for you to put groceries into your house. Now, what about now? What about now? The corruption. This man gets bribed. There are certain leaders that he likes, that he can't question. He insults whenever you say something and question him. He insults you, insults people. That's the president. Okay? It didn't have to take people that long for them to see that things are not adding up. And again, it's not so far-fetched that he could go that low. Politicians like him, he's not a leader, he's a politician. Politicians do those things over and over. I see it over here. I see it in my country. They literally unalive fellow politicians just to make sure they eliminate them. They eliminate those that critically ask questions and, ask for accountability. They eliminate them. This is not a game that only happens in the US. No, it happens everywhere else. So when I talk about these things and then you think, oh, I'm being biased. No, I see it. I see it. It's just that I'm just a normal human. And I just use my voice on here, but also to let you know the perspective of the rest of the world. So politicians are capable of doing these things. Right. It is interesting. The group of conspiracy theorists are now cooking. And I know what he calls them when they start questioning. I think it is already started for him to give you the names that he's been giving the rest of the world that has been questioning him. Low IQ. You low IQ that. You low. It looks like he loves it because it makes him feel smart. What an insecure, blooded orange toad. Because do you have to do that? Just because you have a difference in opinion? Do you think he's going to come out, or probably he's going to put them in their place? Because the same very people that brought him, they're the same very people that are turning on him. The very same people that claimed he's anointed. Wait, they're gonna let you know that actually everything, where's MAGA? We fell into this. Taka came and apologize. What do you guys think in the comment section? And thank you so much for watching my videos. I think that's it I have for us in regards to the base now wanting to bring him down. Just a share, like, and subscribe to the channel if you would like to. And yeah, see you guys later.